It is so important that if you're working with people, to understand the reasons why they turn up on that door that day.
We work with kind of people who have not had the best start in life, who are troubled, lost, have got themselves into trouble with substances from typically a very early age, become engaged in criminal behaviour of some description, be it acquisitive crimes, people who do things in order to feed a drug habit.
Put your hands where I can see them. What's here for again?
We don't just look at sort of drug use in isolation, we look at everything else that contributes to the pot, as it were, that's brought them to a point where drug use has become so big in their life that they don't have a life outside of that.
What do you feel makes a good drug and alcohol worker?
Basically, someone who can work with anyone and everyone, regardless of their circumstances, situations, demographic, etc.
It depends very much on the person you're working with as to how you portray yourself with them, you know, how you connect with them on that level.
You need to have that relationship with your drugs worker in order to let your guard down and, you know, be 100% honest with them.
If you haven't got trust in someone, then maybe you're probably better off on your own.
I went into drug and alcohol services at the age 23, right up until 41. There have been a few people within the services that had only learnt about addiction, let's say, but were able to actually show empathy towards me. It's most certainly being listened, talking to you like you're a human being that's just having a rough time.
It's definitely more useful to have a counsellor who's experienced it firsthand than one who hasn't. I mean, how can you counsel someone without being through it yourself? That's the way I look at it.
I think empathy is critical to us being able to work with people effectively. You know, if you nod and smile in the right places, well done, but if you don't mean it, pointless.
So when I was in treatment myself, there were 3 counsellors who were in recovery, and there was one who was not. And I wasn't very respectful of her because I felt she learnt it. But what I feel now is that if you're really genuinely interested and want to work with people in terms of helping them change their life, you don't have to have been through exactly that experience. Just remember, we're encouraging you not to be judgmental, but these clients will be very judgmental of you. Keep going, ask loads of questions. Try not to be intimidated and scared by the clients. They're only people. They're only people just like you. It's not always safe to explore childhood experiences when somebody is either still using or in really very early recovery, because they don't have the tools to be able to cope with whatever that might bring up for them.
As soon as I stopped counselling, all this new information that was coming into my head, I couldn't cope with it. It was like, so, you know, I was raped, I was sexually abused, and it was wrong. Straight away, I went on to a substance speed. You know, I was taking that a lot then.
What you can't do is make any assumptions when you're getting to know someone about what may or may not have happened in their past. And I think kind of like it's a Pandora's box, and if you open it and you aren't able to support that person, then it's very dangerous. You have to be, when you identify trauma, you need to kind of like discuss it with somebody who is in a position to be able to offer the right support. Otherwise it can cause more harm than good. If you say you're going to do something, do it. It is their experience of being let down. of people not delivering, of people saying one thing and doing another. And if that's someone's experience, then before you walk in the door, and no matter how good you think you are or how much experience you've got, that is their expectation of you. And that's why the behaviours and the coping mechanisms are so kind of like intrinsic, that self-reliance is the only way.
We can say, look, we can work with you. We don't have to provide solutions. Some people don't want solutions, some people just want to be heard.
Under promise, over deliver, I think, and quite often when people coming in, it's working with their expectations as well. Never going in there and saying you're going to give them the silver bullet and everything's going to change.
The Future Services looks absolutely manically busy. It can be incredibly satisfying, and to see people make massive changes to their life can be fantastic, but there are also a lot of people that don't. So you have to learn to look after yourself well in this.
We're like sponges, so we're taking on all this trauma from people. Where does that go? What will happen is you get staff burnout and you get vicarious trauma. So we need to keep staff safe in services, and the way they need to do that is by acknowledging some of the stuff that the staff are experiencing.